Welcome to Real Estate on the Rocks, where you get top shelf real estate conversations served straight up, never watered down. Here's your host, Dave Snowberger.
All right. Good afternoon, everybody. Or is it morning?
Whatever it is for you.
Oh, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with
all day.
It's
Good.
afternoon. I've been up since 5 a.m., so I feel like it's the afternoon already.
It's evening for you.
Yeah, it's evening. I'm going to go ahead and tune out on this episode and just take a nap.
All right, Marshall.
I'm calling in from China. It's nighttime right now.
How's it going over there? How's the market going?
Oh, you know.
Depends. Are you buying or selling?
Oh, geez, you sound like a bunch of realtors. All right, so today's topic is unknown. We're just going to start winging it. We've had, in our past couple shows, we've talked about the lead generation, the lead follow-up, the going on appointments, the practice scripts and role play, and negotiating contracts. I always like to dive deep on the practice scripts and role play because I think that's such a crucial element to our audience, which is that 80% of folks out there that might be having a little bit of a struggle making it in this business, that are not really knowing how to lead generate, definitely not lead follow-up. It used to be lead generation, I thought, was the hard one. It's really, we identified as lead follow-up, so you can look at that episode or go back and search that for that episode on the fortunes in the follow-up. However, let's talk a little bit about practice scripts and role play again and how important that is. We start every day at our office in Austin, Texas here, as we call it a rev up. I'm not sure if anybody else out there does it, but what that is we really state our affirmation for the day. We state our goal for the day, and then our gratitude for the day. So what we're grateful for. You know, why we keep showing up, and it's the participation's there. I love that every morning because it sends everybody really.
That's good.
Shakes off the cobwebs of coming into the morning. You know, I need my coffee.
Right,
It was
right.
hokey pokey at first, but you know,
I
enjoy it now.
It felt a little goofy at first.
Definitely clunky at first. Everyone's like,
Yeah, and it's still
well.
clunky on some of our ends, like my end. Like the affirmation's always something how I want to pour back into you guys, and you guys look at me like, hey, I'm about tired of you.
This guy.
Yeah, this
Teacup is
guy.
full.
You know, there's an app for affirmations if you need some help.
Oh, nice.
What's the app
I need
called?
all the help I can get in
Absolutely,
every field
yeah.
I can
Is
get.
that what it's called? Absolutely.
No, it's called affirmations.
Oh, okay.
So let's talk about that real quick. I mean, when did you finally realize? How long have you been a realtor now?
3 years.
3 years. Okay, Marshall.
4.
Okay, I forgot to introduce everybody else. So we have Alicia Hooper in the room.
Whoop, whoop.
Everybody.
Yep.
Part 3 of Taco Day.
Tacos.
And
All
so
day,
this
day.
gal loves taco. Once you stalk her on Facebook, you'll find out she's all about the tacos.
Very
Send her
quickly.
everything you can at info@realestateontherocks.com that is a taco type of meme or
Flutter inbox.
No,
Yeah.
that's a
Flutter
group
inbox.
inbox. Don't do that.
Do it.
Go ahead, Alicia Hooper. Go at Taco Tuesday. Oh, no, Alicia Hooper at.
Don't hurt yourself.
I
Alicia.
totally forgot your. It's just Alicia?
Alicia at
Yeah.
aliciahooper.com.
No, not your email.
Oh,
your,
what you talking about?
Your social media profile.
Oh, Alicia Hooper.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Send all that taco stuff there.
Or you can
I
type
don't
in
wanna see it.
CTX Hoop and my business page will pull up.
There you go. Sorry, I'll finish with the introductions here. We have the new guy behind the glass, which is James Mendez, our trusty producer that we let have a microphone.
It doesn't really work.
It doesn't. Most days.
And then
no.
I think I introduced Marshall Tucker and myself.
The
I'm Dave
famous
Snowberger.
Marshall Tucker.
The famous.
Not the famous. Not
The famous.
The
not-
famous.
Not the subpar
The
musician,
infamous.
Marshall Tucker, but the expert realtor.
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 Not realtor.
Not realtor. It's realtor because he has short arms. So he's like a.
And he also goes to the docator.
I can't reach my CRM.
There's like a little T-Rex.
If you're happy and you know it,
Oh,
I could do that.
this hamburger makes me look makes my hands look so big.
People are gonna like wonder now. Does he have short arms?
can we get this guy on video?
Dude, I totally thought you had short arms. Awesome. All right, so let's talk a little bit more about scripts, practice, and role play. I asked Alicia a question a second ago about when she had the complete buy-in. Have you always been a Keller Williams agent?
I have.
Okay.
Always drank the Kool-Aid and always will continue to drink the Kool-Aid.
Shots. Nice.
Kool-Aid shots?
Yeah, Kool-Aid shots.
Yeah.
All right, so you got I mean, you dove right in when you came into Keller Williams, right? So I didn't. I went with a different brokerage at first until I found the benefits of the current brokerage I'm at. So tell me a little bit about that. You had the buy-in right off the bat. How did you feel when they threw these scripts down in front of you and said, "Hey, look at this stuff. Start reading this verbatim"? Did you feel uncomfortable?
Absolutely. In the beginning, especially when you.
Now?
Oh yes. No. It was definitely uncomfortable because for the most part, I was like, I don't talk like this. Like, this is not my communication style, right?
Is that because of Southern drawl, or
there's like no taco lingo in here. I really don't get it.
Right.
No. So really being open to learning the scripts in terms of like internalizing them, so I can have good conversations and then adjusting them to my style as far as communication. So in the beginning, I was very like arm's length, like, no, this is not for me. I don't see the point of this, and then once I bought in, it's a game changer.
Yeah. Okay.
Because you definitely 100% have better conversations.
Right. We've got Marshall, Keller Williams now 4 years? 4 years. You still haven't bought into scripts. You still just wing it every morning. You're on the phone.
I'm buying into it more and more. Like I said, I come from the restaurant industry, so I understand that.
That's all scripts, man.
Yeah, when they come in the door, there
you want
has
fries
to be
with that?
There has to be a way to facilitate the customer in, or else you're going to have two people staring at each other and wondering what they're doing there. So yeah, scripts are important. I didn't really buy into scripts, though. I mean, my conversations were good, but I wanted to be better. So I want my business to be better. And so, of course, where does that?
Yeah.
My weakest link is the script. So go back to the scripts and continue on with them. And
yeah, because I mean, just like if you want to be an athlete, what do you do?
practice.
You practice. You want to be a great realtor, what do you do?
It's a contact sport.
Practice. The funny thing is that Marshall's really good at scripts, and he's internalized them all over the past 4 years, and especially since he's been part of my organization and team. Is we've had so many of these conversations and we've made so many phone calls that he doesn't realize he's scripted anymore.
Yeah, it's so natural,
and
right?
so when I bring something up like this, it is amazing to see him think that he doesn't use scripts.
I'm modest.
I mean, I'm like blown away by it. I'm blown away. Like, I'm trying
I want to be better.
I'm starting to. I'm gonna start using these things sooner. It's like everything you say is so scripted, which isn't a bad thing. It's we get the same objections.
Right.
The
Same call every day.
stuff.
In reality, you can predict almost every conversation that you have.
Right. There's about 5 directions.
Yeah, whether you're at open house, I mean, no matter where you are.
Yeah. I'm just looking.
Yeah.
Okay, great. What are you looking for?
Exactly.
Yep. And so knowing that, I don't think Marshall knows. I think there's some internal issue there.
You're a script machine, man. You don't even know it.
Yeah. You're a script machine.
Script machine.
Yep. And so I bought into it when I came over to Keller Williams. I've been at Keller Williams approaching 4 years now. Drank the Kool-Aid, wasn't about it at first. When I first came into this business, I was coached very heavily on stay away from Keller Williams, whatever you do. And really, there was an underlying issue I found out between our leader, GK, and then at my time, the broker over here. Apparently, they used to work together. Austin's a small town, and so apparently they used to work together. And when GK broke off, there was some underlying issue there, and so hate.
Drama.
Definitely not the mindset of abundance was at that brokerage, right? And so that was a type of brokerage also that I can't stand right now. Is that
scarcity mindset?
Well, it's that scarcity mindset where they take you and throw you against the wall, and if you make it, you make it. Like the broker of record was never there for me. Like when I wrote my first contract, I've talked about this before, was that I learned it from YouTube.
Right.
And so I sat there and I watched somebody verbatim on YouTube, and then I submitted the offer, and I just was honest with the person, and I told them, hey, look, it's the first contract I ever wrote, be easy on me. And she wrote back, she's like, this is the first contract you ever wrote, you did a killer job.
Nice.
And I was like, oh, cool, I got this.
Score.
Yeah. I got this. I knew that.
She's like, it's my second contract ever read.
So anyway, in true Dave Snowberger fashion there, I like to stretch the story a little bit. However, it was about scripts and role play. Was when I moved over here, I started hearing more about this scripts and role play, and I was listening to a lot of coaching stuff from Mike Ferry, and he's trying to, sell you on scripts and what to say, and I just really wasn't having it. And nobody likes those scripts. I mean, if you mention, now that I know when I speak in front of a room full of people, or I'm having a coaching thing going on, and I mention scripts or role play in front of people, I can physically watch their eyes and then their shoulders drop.
Oh, yeah.
It's almost like when I say cold calling. Like
Right.
the room just goes silent and drops. But if I use some new great term like circle prospecting, everybody pops out.
What
It's
is
like,
that?
oh my God, what is that?
Yeah.
It's like, it's cold calling. And it's back to like this. Now they don't want to do it.
Right.
So But it was the same thing with scripts. Like I wanted nothing to do with them. Like keep those away from me. And then I bought into them. Somebody handed me an actual book from, I think it was a pre-bound book from Diana Kokoska. That was the bold,
Oh, nice.
all the bold scripts
Yeah.
in one. And somebody handed it to me. Is like, here, you need these, man, because you're really good on the phone, but you just need to sharpen some of the things you're saying.
Nice.
And I would read them. I'm like, I'm not saying this stuff. And I was like, hey, look, what could be the worst thing to happen? And so I started on that. And now I know that I'm one of the most really. I wouldn't say scripted people, but I've practiced so much and internalized them. Now it just flows freely out.
It's awesome.
You know, and I rarely get stuck anymore. I used to have a book in front of me. That same book was it. If I was working on FSBOs or expireds,
Just
or
have it there
withdrawals,
as
I would
reference.
have it as reference
Sure.
to start the conversation. If the conversation started going south. And every once in a while, you just get, you know, and then you just realize that you're really good at the scripts, and you've internalized them all, and now you can really just have a conversation with
Yeah.
anybody about anything. You don't have to worry.
And here's the best thing: you can actually listen. You can listen to what they're saying because you're not worried about the next thing
What
you're
you're gonna
saying.
say.
Right.
That slows you down so much. That was one of the things in Power Hour, our script and role play practice
Listening
in the
to
morning, is being able to listen, because you have to
Repeat.
what they say to you, the
Approve.
objection, approve it
Acknowledge.
and appreciate it, and then
Oh, they
move
changed it.
on.
Yep.
Yeah, he has a underline, because the way people were responding or appreciating it, some people were giving it like a positive thing, like he said during recharge sales meetings, like, oh,
Oh, you got divorced?
just-
Great.
Yeah, it's like awesome, great. You're like, no,
Appreciate that.
yeah. It's like, no, don't
killed
say
your
that.
husband?
Yeah.
Thank you card. Fantastic.
Don't
So
say that.
anyway, when are you looking to buy?
Yeah. So it's like
It's-
appreciate it, and so you're kind of wrapping around, like it's acknowledging that it's there, it's okay, or like I have a real estate agent. You're like, awesome, good for you. Like, well, no, that's great that you are willing to work with a professional like myself. So you kind of turn it, and then you move it into the next aspect, bridge. And so being able to understand some of those or remember some of those is good, because then you can listen and understand what they're saying.
So it's
Say
like
something and then still be listening for a response, because you're
Right.
saying things to ask good questions. But I was struggling because I was I have to go from the initial repeat, approve, move, then go to a bridge, and then try and close. Okay, but I have to figure out which one based on how
like
we
a game.
respond.
Yeah. So you're focused on that.
I'm not
like a bingo.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm not focused on
The conversation.
the actual conversation. I'm focused only on trying to bridge
The
it, because I
process.
don't have them. I don't have the process internalized. The scripts to flow better.
And that right there can certainly confuse the listeners out here. What I would do with that, because a lot of that stuff you said is really great, is I'd make a video and put that on the Top Shelf Agents Facebook page, but make a video really breaking that down on how to use, put some of these scripts
Yeah.
in this
Like
role
the
play.
process behind it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the process behind
Yeah.
it and the level of thinking. I think that'd be a great video for you to do and post on the Top Shelf Agents page.
I can
Sure.
do that.
Yeah, I told you
So
before,
I'm
once
curious
you
to-
throw
I'll
all
take a note
the
of that.
bits of information out there, then all you got to do is listen and bring them down at the right times.
Yeah.
Who's your lender? What's your timeline? What kind
It
of
looks
house?
like you're dancing.
I'm dancing.
Oh yeah.
For
go
everybody who
Marcy.
can't see, he's
But
clawing
this
at
information is
fictitious
up in the air,
piece of
and you
information.
can concentrate on listening to the client if you know everything that you need to eventually pull out of them, and then you can just kind of pull it down at the right times until you bridge yourself to the end.
Right, and it's also important to know two things, Dave. I want to come back to you in a second, but it's also important to know who you're talking to, because you don't want to say too much on the phone. Like if you're talking to a potential seller, the goal is just to get the appointment. It's not to word vomit and I can sell and I can do this. My marketing is awesome. Blah blah blah.
Yeah,
That's
the close over the phone is a silly thing, but we'll touch that. Go
Yeah.
ahead.
So anyway, and then back to you. I'm just curious, like before Keller Williams versus after, like so pre-script versus post-scripts. How did you see your business comparing the two?
3 million to 17 million.
Boom.
Boom. So I'll take it. So this year we're rolling towards $26 million, and I would say that's because we're hyper focused on our new agents that we bring in and really
New guy?
introducing them,
guy?
like the new guy over here, introducing them to the scripts, and then having some accountability behind the role play time. You know, and so as soon as he comes in, he puts his hair into little berets, puts on his little just kidding.
Tucks the skirt in.
You said role play. I got lost there for a second.
entirely different kind of role playing.
He goes right into pigtails.
I know this is Texas, but hey,
So no,
I love it.
it's really that. And so once I started diving in and realizing that okay, I've got something here. And then one thing that I had just like that aha moment. I was out at a listing appointment, and I mean I went and I think it was 2016, I went toe to toe with seems like some of the hardest for sale by owners, and Marshall would always go with me. And Marshall, I just kind of used him as like my wingman. That if I didn't appeal to that person's personality, I could have Marshall kind of step in and do that with me saying things, and Marshall kind of validating them.
Yeah.
You know, and so we had a really good thing going on.
Yin and yang.
Right, and so we had a really good thing going on, and I remember leaving one on the one over in Georgetown, Texas. This guy was a tough cookie, man. He was hard, and we went toe to toe, and I threw everything I had at him. And in the end, I felt kind of mentally exhausted. Like, he's like, okay, kid, you want to list my house? Show up at my shop on Saturday at 2:00. And I was just like, oh man, I gotta work Saturday. You know? I was like, but it's $350,000.
See you, Dave.
Yeah, it's $350,000. Marshall will not be going on that.
Marshall's like, I'm out. I'm out.
Yeah. Marshall's got kids, and every second he's like, I'm not working weekends.
Yeah.
But so I go on the appointment anyway. So the whole point of that story was I threw everything in him, and when we got in the truck and we drove off, I told Marshall, I was just like, bro, like, everything I said in that conversation is the stuff that we sit in the mornings and practice.
Yep.
Like, everything was just a pull out of everywhere I had.
You start to like impress yourself, right?
Yeah, and that's what the point of that
Yeah.
was I did.
Yeah.
And I was just like,
Your
oh my
confidence
gosh, it's
is
like
just-
it's internalized.
Yeah.
It's there now. And so the next one was on to another listing appointment was an attorney that was like, told me to my face, like, you're a real estate agent. You have no value to me.
Oh,
I can
geez.
write my own contracts. I have a beautiful house on a street that brings buyers by itself. I mean, the addresses are 1 through 10, and then a well-known street in Round Rock, all big homes. And I'm just like, okay. And so I just kept asking her questions and whatever else. And I kept just placing doubt in her head. And I was like, I'm certain you're a great attorney and you're good at what you do and you have no problem doing this, but you're on a cul-de-sac. You know, you have no representation to get the people in here. You're using ZTR, our friends over at ZTR to really syndicate your property,
Market.
and they don't do anything. And right here it says your Zestimate's $100,000 under what it is. I don't even at that time know what a Zestimate is.
Yeah.
I just knew it was off.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, they're telling you the reason why you haven't had people over is they're telling you right here, your Zestimate, your house is only worth $600,000. It's not worth $750 or whatever it was at the time. And so we just kept, oh, tell me more. Then she invites me in the living room. And so I go down in the living room and I'm talking to her and her husband. And her husband said something. She's like, she puts the smack down on him, like, shut up, Larry. You know?
So me and Larry went outside to play.
Yeah, send Marshall and Larry outside to play soccer, kick the ball with each other. And this lady and I lock ourselves in a room and kind of like two attorneys and fight it out. You know, it's like two professionals. Like, this is the reason why I should. This is the reason why I shouldn't. And everything I had there also was everything that I've been. Sounds cheesy, training for.
Yeah.
Like, this is the moment I'm training for.
This is the moment.
Yeah, and so I go in there and we just go toe to toe and spar. And even later on, somehow, being such a small town, such a small little county, where Austin's a small town, was she was at her son's football game that night next to one of her good friends, turns out to be my best friend. My best friend's sister
I got chills.
tells us, like, I can't believe I listed with a real estate agent. His name's Dave Snowberger. And Lee turned around and was like, what? That's Kyle's best friend my whole life. Like, my dad's a real estate broker, but he probably would have referred it to Dave.
That's
because
awesome.
he's a retired real estate broker. He refers me everything.
Awesome.
And she's like, I can't believe, like, what did he do different than all the other realtors? And he's like, he just kind of broke it down for me and he put me in my place and telling me that I really needed an agent like him to market this property.
Love it.
So
That's
it
awesome.
was a very cool story, and it's one I get to share every now and then. But it's one of the biggest ones. Those two that I brought up are proof that the internalizing these scripts. And they could be the lamest scripts in the world. You'll make them you. You know, you'll make them how they come out of you and
Right.
be more natural and more natural flowing. And you're right. You get to listen.
That's right.
Right? And so now you get to
Be
listen
present.
because you get to just take that file, activate that RAS, and pull out whatever's going to come out next is going to be the appropriate objection handler for their objection.
That's right.
The appropriate rebuttal for their objection. So cool.
Love it.
All right.
It helps with the we were talking about this earlier about with the communication and actually finding out more about the person and understanding who they are, what they really need is like today was one of my better ones with finding those out and actually getting real quality information about the person as opposed to just how much is it, what's the square footage, how many bedrooms, how many bathrooms, why are you leaving, just like the normal boring stuff that I can pretty
Yeah,
much see
because if you
online.
tap into the disc profile, then you know how to communicate with them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
you can't do that if you didn't know the flow of a conversation to be able to listen more.
Yeah.
It's
Those keywords, like you said. Yeah.
And that'll keep getting better. Like I know that you're kind of like me in a sense, like I sit here and I talk, right? And I pause and I think about what I'm going to say, or I say a lot. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. However, I'm catching James a lot when he's talking in the morning, where he's got this kind of pause where he pauses and he thinks about it. Soon, I think that pause will still be there, just like it is for me. However, it will be a faster pause.
Yeah.
It won't be as such a long, instead of a second, it will be a millisecond.
Yeah.
We'll keep shrinking that down, and that really just comes from confidence.
Yeah, for sure.
There's times on the phone where Marshall doesn't realize. Marshall gets on the phone, and I hear him on the other side of the room over there when he builds his bunker, and he just starts making his calls and doing his follow-up, and he gets an appointment, and it's just like, dude, I get chills sometimes. I'm like, dude, I created a badass, like this guy's on point, man. I wish I could have a conversation like Marshall.
Yeah.
And it's like you've got me, this dude that thinks he's got the gift of gab or whatever else and can talk to anybody about anything. And I've got somebody that
That's how I feel about Dave. I'm like, damn, he can just hold a conversation with a wall. I don't get it. Anybody.
and so I hear this stuff and I'm like, that's awesome.
Yeah.
But this goes back to when he didn't really believe in it.
Yeah.
And there's a person in the KW organization that was very skilled in every kind of like training or one of these bold trainings that people go to. They would use her as an example always. She was kind of like a crowd filler, right? There was somebody that she invited, she could go for free, and saying like, hey, look, tell us these scripts. And she'd get up and she would just start talking, right? And she'd battle with anybody. And she would just dominate everybody. And so one of the next trainings was coming along. I said, Marshall, this is a perfect opportunity for you to go to bold. I'll pay for it.
Nice.
And you do it. And do you know who this person is? Well, I'm going to show you who she is. I want you to come out of that training better than her.
Ooh.
Right? And so that was the deal. And he went in, and did he come out better than her? No.
Nope. That got shot down real quick. There was no
I was waiting too. Did I?
There was no insightful pause there.
Yeah,
That was hard. Nope.
Right? So but he came out 20 times better than he was.
Awesome.
Was he as polished as her and everything else? No, but his confidence was a little better. His shoulders were a little higher. His chest was a little puffed out a little bit more. His eyes were a little bit more, not
it's not
intimidated.
just the words on paper either that you're reading. It's tonality. It's the speed that you deliver it. It's how you say it, how loud you say it, how not loud.
And
there's
control
a
your
lot-
upswing. And,
Exactly.
Yeah, all of
And
it.
a lot of the stuff's about your delivery. In this room all the time, we joke and we'll deliver jokes that typically I would say hit, and we all laugh. And then certainly like James, when he delivers a joke,
It's
just
not
crickets.
funny, yeah.
No, it's total crickets.
You can make him laugh on the other end of the phone.
Yeah,
Whatever.
Tony
he
the
really
womp
needs to
womp
sharpen his delivery.
My
He
jokes
really
are
needs
good.
to sharpen his delivery.
Yes.
And so, yeah,
Dave's trying to pull up his sound effects from his cheesy app.
like cheesy. Yeah.
Hold on,
Here you
we
go.
gotta wait
This
for
is- Hey, James, tell a joke.
Did that record? I don't know if it even recorded.
Oh, well, maybe next
You
time.
can add it in. Yeah.
Yeah, we can come back.
I'll get right on that one.
However, no. So, the delivery is one of the things, and that's when I teach classes or I'm in coaching moments, and they're like, dude, I love your delivery, how you can bring this in at that time. All that is practice.
Yep.
I don't think I've had 10,000 phone calls, but I've certainly had 10,000 conversations.
Oh, for sure.
So I just try not to let it get the best of me. And the phone always adds a certain element of kind of reluctance to it, or you don't want to do it, or what the word I'm looking for here?
Hesitation?
Yeah, the hesitation, like you call a little intimidation.
Yeah.
That's what I'm looking for. The phone always adds that element, and so once you get rolling though, and you've had a few conversations, that intimidation goes away, and you really start going like, I want to be on the phone after I start. The hardest part is starting.
It's two
And
parts.
so-
Call reluctance and the fear of self-promotion.
Right. And so, Tim and Julie Harris, they're a coaching program that I'm a part of. I love what they do, but they brought this to the table that it's, you do the things that you don't want to do when you don't want to do them at a high level.
Yes.
Right? And so anybody can do the things that they don't want to do. Are you going to do them at that extra element, that extra push of at a high level?
Right.
So a predetermined number of dials you're going to do that day. I'm going to call 20 FSBOs today, and I'm going to get 2 appointments. Write it down on a piece of paper. Goals are 97, 87, 77% more likely to come to fruition if you write them down.
Absolutely.
Write that in front of you, 2 appointments, 20 FSBOs, call 20 FSBOs. Well, if there are no new FSBOs, then call all old ones again. Set your goals, do the things you don't want to do when you don't want to do them, and you'll achieve those goals.
Word.
I don't know what to say to these people. Okay, that's even more
Reason to have
to
script.
have the scripts and practice those things before you start calling.
Right.
Read like a robot. because the only way you're going to do this is to fail forward. They're not going to know. You're going to sound like a robot to them on the other end. However, you're not going to get any better unless you're taking those opportunities, because that's where agents fall, I think, into the pitfalls of these scripts and practice role play partners. I think that's very important. I told you to have 5 of them or something like that. I think you still have none, but we'll look into that. Maybe you're doing the in the morning thing.
Yeah.
Okay. But I would like you to stack on a few more other than that, where was I going with this point?
The frequency of different communications with role play partners.
Right, and just keeping the ball moving forward on that stuff. But the more you learn, the more you'll want to call, and you get stuck, I think, in the rut of working with that role play partner. This was my point. There it is. It came back. You tell I was reaching there.
Yeah.
So
he's digging.
what was you get caught in that, and all of a sudden you have analysis from or paralysis from analysis, right? So now you're just so used to how you and your role play partners do it. That's why I like to mix it up with 4 or 5 different ones.
For sure.
So you have a variety there.
Different perspectives.
And you're not just worried about that one role play partner or like, man, now I'm on the phone. I only know how we interact with each other, how Alicia and I, take our 20 minutes every morning and do scripts practice. Now I'm scared, And so be intentional about what you're learning too. Is it the same call every day? Then you're not really doing it.
Right.
You're not doing it. That's why I like it. Is like have one that's complete a-hole on the phone. Have one that gives up the appointment like that.
Right.
Have one that's the inquisitive CS, from the DISC test, the C or the S, that's going to ask you a lot of questions and try to gain control of the conversation by asking questions. Like have that.
Yep.
How do I win this conversation back and stay in control of this conversation?
Yep.
Is it that high I that's going to be the chatty Kathy, or the D that's just going to be the dick that's like, hey, I'm not interested. I can sell this by myself. I'm an international business major.
Why you calling me so much?
Yeah, and all that
That's funny.
stuff.
But the high D who had that experience was super friendly. One of the easiest people I've got to talk
Look
to.
at me, I'm friendly as can be.
Yeah, he's all right sometimes.
Questionable.
Okay.
No, but even with those, ones that you would think intuitively be sticky or difficult, having great conversations.
Yeah, for sure.
Word.
So just keep doing that. Keep on the practice scripts and role play. If you need any of those scripts, we're going to upload a bunch of these scripts to the Top Shelf Agents Facebook page. And then if you need anything personally sent to you, just send us an email at info@realestateontherocks.com. And remember our sponsor, I have to remember our sponsor, Michael Harrell with Guild Mortgage can help you with all things under the sun mortgage-wise, and even give you a ride in his Maserati.
What?
So, yeah.
He let you drive it. He let me drive it.
What? He let you drive it? No way.
And they didn't
Thoughts
die.
become things.
That mindset of abundance still working for you. You got it. All right, Dave Snowberger here. Everybody signing out. Don't forget the 5-star reviews. At the bottom here, more 5-star reviews means we get to keep putting out this great content for you. If you don't find this content great, tell us what we can change. Once again, you can send that to info@realestateontherocks.com.
.com.
Thanks for listening. We'll hear you next time.
Bye, y'all.